My name is Diego Pignatelli. I come from the province of Taranto in Puglia, Italy. I am the chef and partner here at Mediterra Restaurant in Bangkok. At Mediterra we have a beautiful space which is designed and inspired by Southern Italian architecture. It is mostly rustic and very simple, but of course we don't want to forget where we are. We proud ourselves, of course, to prepare most of our or all of our recipes from scratch with raw ingredients, whether it is the bread, the focaccia, to the fresh pastas. We do all of our pastas by hand.
We mostly make pasta only with semolina and water. We also do egg pasta, but that's more traditionally from central and northern Italy. And of course, with the same dough, there's many shapes that we can make, right? So just take this and just like shape it like this, like a small gnocchi. Well, then you go to Naples. You can do either with one finger, a longer version with 2 fingers, like this, or an even longer one with 3 fingers, like this. And then if you make it really long, you can make what you call with like a spiral, like fusilli, if it's short. Or if you go to Sicily, they make long ones that they call busiate. The dough should be a little bit more wet, elastic for those, make those ones. And then of course you can use again the texture to give it an additional shape. And this will all help to trap the sauce once it's cooked. Like so, a little bit like an open spiral.
We focus only on Italian wines. Italy has a great enough variety of grapes and wines and great winemakers. I've been in Thailand now for 12 years. I can safely say that I call this now my home. I'm not really here to impress anyone, not after any sort of glory. Orecchiette e cime di rapa. It's a pasta recipe traditionally from my region. It's called orecchiette. It means small ear because it reminds a bit the shape of an ear. It's made 100% with semolina and water. There's no eggs. It can only be made by hand. There is no machine that is capable of reproducing the same type of pasta. Typical from Bari, from Puglia. You can find similar ones in other regions, the south of Italy, with different names. But it's quite recognized that orecchiette is from Puglia. The orecchiette pasta, traditionally we make them dry. It's basically an aglio olio pasta. You have olive oil, garlic, chili, but we add a lot of anchovies to it. Anchovies, it's preserved on the salt and eat all year long. There's many recipes in cuisine from Puglia where you don't add any salt at all because you put anchovies that are preserved on the salt, and that's the only salt that you will have in the recipe basically. And then there is chili because in the south of Italy we like to eat spicy food. And the most traditional recipe with it is called cime di rapa. Cime di rapa is the wild tops of the turnip that grow a lot in Puglia, in this dry soil. For most other regions will be considered as bad weed to be discarded. In Puglia, because of our traditions and culture, we basically don't throw away anything. It's a recipe that I love for many reasons. One, because it's my father's favorite dish. I have been eating since I was a kid because it was always my father cooking it. It always tasted the same. So for me, it's really one dish that I cannot compromise myself with. There's absolutely one way to do it for me. I love it because it's simple in the appellation, in the description, and in the way it looks. But it's a punch of flavors and intensity when you eat it that really scream of Puglia, of the region. What's quite special about it is that the traditional recipe, because the pasta takes such a long time to boil, you boil the turnip tops and the pasta together. The pasta, once it boiled, it will have already sort of absorbed some of the bitterness of this wild vegetable and will already sort of define the character of the dish. It's not something that has any fancy touches. It's really once the pasta and the turnip tops are boiled, you just quickly strain them, put them in the bowl with your olive oil, chili and garlic that you and anchovies that you previously slowly cooked together, and you just mix everything. You actually want to have some of that water of the vegetable and the pasta. It's something that we put in the middle of the table with a big spoon, and everyone just helps themselves. We all have a recipe that feel like it's home. I mean, it's something more never get bored about. And yeah, for me it's orecchiette and cime di rapa. You can give it to me for breakfast, lunch or dinner. I will just shut up and eat it and smile. Something that makes me feel at home, think about my family. So I hope that people can find value in the simplicity of this dish and appreciate just a few poor ingredients can come together and create something so unique, flavorful, and in my opinion very satisfying. If I can make people understand where I come from through the food I serve them, I think that's the biggest achievement for me. My goal is to try to make sure that our customers absorb a little bit of this tradition and authenticity and memory. I grew up with my grandmother. Cannot think of anybody else if I had to say who first gave me the love for cooking. I used to spend all the afternoons with her. She found the strength to stay all the day in the kitchen just to find the pleasure of people eating her food. So she was not out there to impress anyone. She was not looking for any recognition or reward. It was just the simple pleasure of having the whole family around the table. Puglia is a region which is known to be one of the poorest ones in Italy. Therefore, the cuisine, of course, reflects this lifestyle, meaning that people are not looking for anything fancy in their food. They give importance to how nutritious it is, how easy they can source it. So the cuisine is mostly based on locally sourced ingredients and seasons, of course. We have about 800 kilometers of coastline, so of course there's a lot of seafood involved. Our gambero, the gambero rosso, it's a very unique and quite rare variety of shrimp, which comes from the western coast of Sicily, from a small town called Mazzara del Vallo. When I was there, we went to the fish market at the port, where they actually receive these shrimp from the fishing boats and peel them by hand, one by one. I asked this guy, 75 years old, Antonio, he's been working there for 50 years plus, peeling shrimps. And I asked him, what is the best way to season this ingredient? What for me to enjoy it the best way? And he said, the less the better, eat it as it is, and it will be the best shrimp you will ever have. The texture will be lost if you cook it. The quality of the flavor and the aroma, you will be lost if you marinate it too long. So you really want to enjoy it as it is. We plate it in a very simple way. Serve it with burrata cheese and a green sauce or salsa. We of course choose to serve this sauce on the side and not on top of the shrimp, because we want to make sure that the customer will have it raw so he can understand why it is so unique. Then customers can try it with the burrata cheese, which brings some sort of bitterness and sweetness to it, and with this green sauce that we prepare simply with basil, parsley, olive oil and a little bit of anchovies. We add some lemon juice for acidity. Quite an intense flavor sauce. We also had some crumbs of taralli. Taralli are some bread crackers from the south of Italy to propose a contrast with the texture of the shrimp itself, which is firm but still buttery and very soft. As we are in Thailand, Thailand has its very own culture and idea of cuisine. Very, very different from Italian cuisine in terms of ingredients, in terms of cooking techniques. But strangely enough, there's many sides where Italian cuisine and Thai cuisine feel the same. The aspect of conviviality, for example, I think is one that is very similar. Both Thais and Italians, we just don't love to eat alone. Eating is just not about the food itself, it's also about what comes with it, who you're enjoying your food with, where you are. Parmigiana is definitely maybe in the top 5 of the most known and popular traditional Italian recipe outside of Italy. When you're Italian and you travel abroad and you go to an Italian restaurant, it immediately hits you how many dishes are proposed and presented as being Italian, but they're not. Another one is this, I think is mostly American, is chicken parmigiana. It's something that you will really never find in Italy. Somehow it's a bastard version of the parmigiana is something that we mostly cook at home. High-end fine dining Italian restaurants will not have a parmigiana on their menu because it's considered too simple. Here at Mediterra, what we want to do is provide a journey to the south of Italy, so not a journey to Little Italy in New York. We should not compromise our traditions, and the only thing that I try to look for when I make parmigiana, the aromas, the smell. Parmigiana is recognized as being from Sicily, although the etymology of the name comes actually from Arab, from a word called parmesan, which is a word that existed before the recipe. Traditionally, it doesn't call absolutely for chicken. There's no meat inside the traditional parmigiana. It's a vegetarian dish. Purple pear, eggplant, tomato, basil, and traditionally it's only scamorza cheese, a cured version of mozzarella. It's a dry mozzarella, which of course will melt and blend into the flavors of the dish. One province, if you go to Palermo, you go to Catania or Siracusa, the way they do the parmigiana is different. In my opinion, it should remain a vegetarian dish. The process is quite simple. Of course, good eggplants that are nice and firm. The next step is deep frying the eggplant fast and not absorb too much oil. Once the eggplants are fried, layering inside the baking pan, bake in the oven the necessary time, which is a good half an hour. Parmigiana is something that should not be eaten too hot. It should definitely be crispy, should not be too wet, and the inside should be rather dry. I am in a position to say that the way we do it is as close as possible to what traditional Sicilian Parmigiana is. I think that's where cuisine from Puglia excels. It's just simple food, true to its word. You can find the flavors of the ingredients that you read on the menu. Hopefully that passion can be felt through the food. Any responsible chef do their best to use local products as much as they can. I don't feel like it should even be advertised anymore. It should just be normal. When it comes down to authenticity, sat down with my partner and thought about the concept for the restaurant. The only thing we knew for sure is that it would have been Italian and it would have been in Bangkok. If you know Bangkok, you know that Bangkok definitely doesn't lack of Italian restaurants and good ones. Bangkok is a very international city. The expat community is huge. Locals, Thais, they travel a lot, so they do know the difference between simple, basic Italian food aimed at tourists and authentic Italian food aimed at people who love food. Here at Mediterra, we are not revolutionizing anything. We didn't reinvent the wheel or hot water. We decided to focus on the south of Italy. Southern region of Italy propose a cuisine which is quite unique and at the same time radically different from the north of Italy. And because of its sometimes probably extreme simplicity, many times has been like looked over because it's not fancy enough. Southern Italy through history has been occupied, invaded, fought for by dozens of civilizations. It's something that you can find in the food. The best example is probably Sicily. All the sweets, desserts definitely have a huge Arabic influence, for example. Most of the words and many vocabulary words in Sicilian dialect will come from French or Spanish or Arab. Sicily is, as far as I know, is the region in Italy and probably one in the world that has the most variety of natural ingredients.
Okay everyone, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining. Hit the subscribe button and check out my channel for more videos about the Bangkok food scene.